So I welcome all participants for giving your precious time to our session. This is our sixth free webinar, and today the topic is an amazing topic. We are bringing Power Query and Power Pivot topic, which is Power Tools in Excel for finance professionals. So, just few important things before I will hand over the session to Mr. Kashif Nas. Just few housekeeping rules. All the questions will be answered at the end of the session. So you can either note down your questions and remain unmuted throughout the session. The second important thing, you can write the questions in the comments. We will answer all your questions at the last of the session for the 5 to 10 minutes. So please turn off your mics throughout the session. Little bit about myself. I'm a senior member of ICMAP, Institute of Cost Management Council of Pakistan, in all the areas which are touched in finance. I'm also a founder and managing partner of Kaizen Analytics LLP, and this session is brought to you by Kaizen Analytics LLP. We work in emerging technologies like Power BI, R, Python, blockchain, IoTs, Excel as well. Excel is not dying. Excel is emerging through on regular basis. We work on two elements. First is capacity building, where we teach not only the business and finance professionals how these tools works, but also try to implement their learnings in their professional working. Also, we conduct projects in the relevant fields. Few important things before I kick off this one. So let me first invite Mr. Kashif Nas. So please introduce yourself.
Uh, Hello, Kashif. How are you? And hello to everyone who has joined this session on Power Excel for Finance Professional. My name is Kashif Nas, and I am a fellow member of ACCA. I also have 17 years of experience in all the areas, almost all the areas of the finance, like financial management, financial accounting, management accounting, and financial planning. So, apart from my expertise here, I have also well versed in IT skills as well. So over the period, I made myself to well versed with the upcoming technologies that are applicable, that are now booming in the finance field right now, like SQL, Python, and other programming languages. And the reason for these nowadays, people want to summarize their work. People want to automate their repetitive tasks. So I also specializes in automation of repetitive workflows, including working on SQL, Python, and Excel. And I also do the data analytics and machine learning and I also have conducted a successful session on the data science and machine learning related to Python and SQL. I also involved over the tenure of my job. I also have implemented various ERPs and also did upgradation as well. I also do data visualization and dashboarding on Power BI and Python, specifically Python, specifically in Stimlet. It's an amazing library for the dashboarding of dashboarding in Python environment. So over to you, Kashif.
Thanks a lot. And I must say it's a killer combination if you must say the expertise of tool which you have, SQL, Python, and Excel, and not just ordinary Excel, Power Excel. So that's must say that's a clear combination, killer combination. I'll hand it over to Kashif Nas for some amazing tips and tricks. Then we are also launching a course on this one, so I will give you some highlights of the course, and me and Kashif will answer your questions at the end, and then closing remarks. So now I will stop my screen.
Today we are conducting a session on Power Excel for finance professional because I think that Excel has phenomenal capabilities to analyze data and to make or to automate their workflows in a very good environment in the Microsoft universe. So I came up with a course that help you to master the Power Query and Power Pivot as well. Basically, if you want, if you basically if you know the if you have some understanding of the Microsoft, you will see that the Microsoft has the Power BI tool, the dashboarding tool is come it has came from nowhere just because of the Excel. Because in 2010 uh, Microsoft introduced Power Query and Power Pivot as a add-in to the as a add-in uh, as an add-in to the power to the Excel, and you can at that time you can just install the Power Query plugin and Power Query Power Pivot plugin to enable that feature in Microsoft Excel. But from the Excel 2030, Microsoft embedded those tools in the in the Excel package, and you don't need to install that add-in extra add-in to initiate that to initiate the Power Query session or Power Pivot session. So what is the webinar is all about? We will see what is the Power Excel workflow and what is the Power Query, how many types of data connections are there, and how the query editor look like, what is the Power Query M formula language, examples of Power Query data loads and transformation, and what is Power Pivot data view versus diagram view, normal pivot versus Power Pivot comparison, data analysis expressions, calculated columns, go to bed, DEX syntax, and common functions categories in Power Pivot. Now the Power Excel workflow. Power Query and Power Pivots are Excel business intelligence tool with low code and no code capabilities that are immediately available in Excel and help user by reducing complexity using GUI tools and techniques. You see here that Microsoft has enhanced the raw data input types to the Power Query and Power Query and Power Pivot, and Power Query is there to get as a get and transform. It connect to the sources and apply shaping and transformation tools. With the Power Pivot, you can make the data models with individual tables, and you can make the relationship to work with different tables instead of making a full flat table to work on the Power Pivot table. So we will see that how the data model works, and Power Pivot is the function is the add-in that explore and analyze the entire data model and create powerful measures using data analysis expression. We will see how the Power Pivot and normal pivot table compare to each other. What is Power Query? Power Query is the data connectivity and data preparation technology. It is that enables end users to seamlessly import and reshape data from within a wide range of Microsoft products, including Excel, Power BI, analysis service, data servers, and more. If you see that how the Power BI came into being, the Power BI in from the Excel they take the Power Query, they take the Power Pivot functions and with DEX and the Excel visualization to and come up with a package called Power BI, where you can visualize and analyze data. Uh, and this is the platform mm, uh, that where you can perform the business intelligence related work and show the visual and make a visual beautiful dashboards out of it. And if you see that the Power BI is frequently updated, I think on month by month, and that's why if you see the Power Query functionalities of Power BI and compared with the Excel Power Query, it may differ because the latest functions will be found in Power BI instead of Power Query from the Excel. So it also too with the Power Pivot functionality. Basically, all the DEX expressions are updated first in the Power BI, and then when the new version of Microsoft Office come, they include the DEX and Power Query functionalities, new Power Query functions and functionalities, and new Excel functions in the uh, office in the new office. So the latest one office is now is Office 2021 that is available to download and work. So what is Power Query? Power Query is a data transformation and data preparation engine. Basically, what lacks the Power Query? Why Power Query? Uh, if you know if you have used the Excel back in 2003, before that by 2003 Excel, it only has 65,000 rows and 256 columns. uh, at that time that is sufficient, but uh, but as the technology grows, as the uh, data size increasing day by day by zillions of data, then you then the Microsoft realizes that, and in Office 2000 there is a major upgrade, and they increase the rows to 1 million and columns to 16,000 plus columns. So uh, Microsoft also realizes that that is not enough, so they come up with a solution, or they come up with a solution that is Power Query and Power Pivot to analyze rows more than the capacity of the Excel. That is 1 million rows and 16,600 and something columns, more than that. So uh, they come up with the graphical user interface for getting data sources and Power Query editor for applying transformation. With Power Query, you can perform the extract, transform, and load processing of data. As I mentioned, that Power Query was first introduced in 2000. Later, with Excel 2010, it became pre-installed with the Office suite. Uh, Power Query, basically the if you know that Excel at the back of that Excel, there is a language called VBA, which is Visual Basic for Application. So if you want to customize uh, or formulate a formula that is not available in Excel, you can write that code in the VBA and make that available as a macro to perform the task in the normal Excel function. But Power Query, behind the Power Query, there's a language called M formula language, which M is for mashup. Basically, M doesn't have a meaning. M is for mashup. And at the Microsoft website, it is also called M language, but most of them called as mashup language. The core capability of Power Query is to filter and combine, that is to mash up data from one, two, or more of rich collections of supported data sources. Any such data mashup is expressed using the Power Query formula language, informally known as M. We will see into that. We will see the examples how the Power Query works and what is the language behind it, and how we can play with the M language in the advanced editor. If you see that Power Query is also called get and transform data. This is the 2021 Power Query ribbon, which is found in the data tab. And you will see that this is the ribbon that is related to Power Query. So it it has different data sources, a wide variety of. We'll see and look into it. Filter, shape, and amend, transform data. Further analysis, created stores procedure to automate your data prep. The Power Queue to live in the data tab under the. Yes. If we see that what are the data connections available in Power Query, so if you click the new query, you will see that there is a folder from folder, and you'll see that these are the available formats that are available for flat files. Flat files can be Excel workbooks, flat files can be CSV files, flat files can be XML, text, JSON, and it also has the capability to if you have stored files in a folder, it can read that files from the folder as well. And if you are using SharePoint, if your company has implemented SharePoint capabilities, it can also read from the OneDrive or SharePoint folder from online without downloading that file in your PC or laptop. It has various databases connections, like for SQL Server database, it is the Microsoft SQL Server database, and it can also connect with the Access database. It can also connect with the SQL Server Analysis database. It can also connect with Oracle, IBM to MySQL, PostgreSQL, from MyBase, from Teradata, and from SAP HANA database. These are not, if you compare that, basically, there are companies that are working on the so-called ODBC connection or OLEDB connection, like CData, which has prepared various connectors to connect outside the scope of the connections that are available in Excel. Like if you want to connect to the Google Sheet, you cannot do that in the Excel, but you can do that in Power BI. Basically, I've told you that Power BI is updated frequently, and you will find more connectors in Power BI than in Excel. So other companies are working on it, and they have prepared their plugins to install and have the capability to connect to the sources that are not available in Excel. Now you see that it can also connect with the Azure databases, and it can also connect with online services. Like I mentioned before, that it can also with the SharePoint. It can also connect with your Microsoft Exchange online. Yeah, it means that if you have the Exchange capabilities, like if you have your organization is implemented the Exchange server capabilities, so you can download, you can get the data from the Exchange server and analyze that in Excel. Like you can download the inbox messages, you can download the draft messages, tasks, and all that. All are available if you have Exchange. Just connect with that and give the username and password, and it will connect to your Exchange online server, and you can get data from that Exchange away in your directly into the Power Query and then in Excel. Now, from other sources, you have from web, you can also work with the APIs. You can also work with the data that is available in the web as a table format, and you can also work with the SharePoint list. You can, this is our data feed that is recently up to implementing new protocols for the data gathering. So you can also connect with the Hadoop files if you are working on a big data, that is you are working on a Hadoop, or you are working on a Hadoop servers. You can connect with the Hadoop files as well. So if you have the uh, from that, you also connect with the ODBC connection. Anything that is available in the ODBC, you can just make a contact from that, then make a DSN there and connect with that data source as well. And from OLEDB and also from the blank query, just open up the Power Query and you can write the M code to connect with the Power Query. We will look into it. How you can use a blank query. Now this is the Power Query editor, and it is the editor window. You will see here is that it is the query editing tools that are available, that is comprised of 4 tabs, that is home, transform, add column, and view column. This is the formula bar where you can write the M code, and this is the M code you are seeing here. This is the data pan preview, and this is the queries preview or queries tab. If you click that, the queries will show here, and these are the table names as well, and what you will perform anything in the data pan or with the ribbons or M language, it is recorded here is that as applied steps. What is Power Query and formula language? According to the Microsoft Power Query provides a powerful data import experience that encompasses many features. Power Query works with analysis services, Excel, and Power BI. The core capability of Power Query is to filter and combine, that is to mash up from one or more of the rich of collection to the supported data sources. Any such data mashup is expressed using the Power Query M formula language, and it is a functional language, and it is a case sensitive language similar to F#. Now we will see what are the examples of Power Query data load. Now I'm sharing my full screen here. This is the data I have for the webinar. So what I'm doing here is that I'm opening an Excel. Now, if you see that I have a folder here called financial data, it is divided by quarters, and it is divided by region as well, east, north, south, and you will see that in the Excel files, this is the table that has been presented in every file, and what we are doing there, we are combining that files from that folder. And if you want to basically if you are reporting to your senior or your boss, and you are preparing that report quarterly wise for the products and that. So you can use the Power Query tool to summarize that workflow instead of combining all the four files quarterly wise and make up a total table out of it, and you are doing that analysis on the on the pivot table by making it a quarter and like that, or using the sum if functions and other tools as well. So we will look here, we will see how we can combine these files with the help of, and if another quarter is added, how quickly that data can be translated into our pivot tables. And we'll see that here, and you'll see that there are four files in every quarter: north, south, east, and you'll see that uh, there are products differences as well. If you see that in the previous east file there's a, b, c and product here, but here it is not here. So we will look here is that how we can combine that file if the columns are not same. So I'm going to the so this is the data type and the power. This is the Power Query parameters. Power Query tab here where you can get the you can get to the Power Query, get data and launch Power Query headers like that. So this is the Power Query editor, and you can also go to the Power Query editors with Alter P, I think, or A P N, and that with L. This is the Power Query. Now we are going to the data source and going to the folder. It's on my desktop, webinar, financial data, and you will see here that these are the three columns, three quarter data. Uh, Power Query is now reading these data files. And you see here that it is we make the transform data. Now what we do here is that this is the combined file column, and if we click that, it will show the sheets and tables of every file in the available format. And you'll see that we want the forecast column, and this is our forecast column. Please be aware that Microsoft Power Query can do additional steps instead of knowing you, and you will see that why I'm referring to that step as well. So it is evaluating, and now it has read that column. Now you see here that this is the additional step that Microsoft Query has performed. So we want that, we don't want that step. So this is how this is promoted to the headers, and now with the cancel of that step, it is now on the first line. So what I want is that I want to remove 6 lines. So this is what remove rows, 6 rows, and now transform, use first row as a header. So this will become a table. Now the products are in the columnar form. I want to convert that into long data. Basically this is a wide data, and I want that into long data, because in while doing the financial analysis, it is better to have a long data instead of wide data, because all values are available in one column instead of going through every column to fetch that value. So I don't want that total, and I don't want that column as well. So uh, right click here. I want product A to product F to be in other column, so I can use unpivot other column as well. You see here that it is now converted that into long data, wide data into long data. So these are the products and these are the units. Okay, now if I go back to the data, you will see that the production forecast will have, because it is the first column that that has been promoted. Because what Power Query do is that it reads files and then convert it and apply steps like it automatically detects the data types, and if there is a header, it can promote that header, promote that line to the header. So we if you go below, before the steps, you'll see the tables here. You see here, see that these are the tables available here. And now if I remove that, I can have, okay, that name has also been converted. I can remove that as well. Okay. There is an error here, because basically I don't want that rename column. Okay. Okay, it is showing me error here somewhere. Basically, I messed up some steps. Uh, what I'm doing here, that I can, I'm rereading the data. Now I don't want that data type here. Basically, the reason is that it has changed the data type. So I don't want that data type to be converted. I only do when all the steps are completed here. Unpaired other columns, product, units. Yeah, I do. Before that, you see that it has changed the type, and we don't want that change the type. So it has converted all the data. Now all the source files are showing here. I can now name into name, and this is what the columns that have been removed, and I want the column folder path here, basically, so that I can read that data. You see here that this is the folder path, and what I'm doing here is that I am replacing that value. Basically, I want year and quarter, and I don't want that, so that it has removed the column. Now I'm splitting that column with a delimiter space bar, and see here that I have removed that space bar here. Now replacing backslash with null. Okay, see here, now I'm giving that column name year and folder path quarter. Okay, now detect types, data types. So if you look here is that this needs to be in whole number, and here, so the data has been converted. Now if you, there are two options, close and load and close and load to. Close and load to will give you an option like you want to populate that data with the table function, table of Excel, or you want to make a pivot table report out of it, or you want to make a pivot chart, or you only want to create a connection, or you can also put that data into a data model by just clicking here. So I only want that to in the data connection, and I want that to be in the data model. Basically data model, if we add that into data model, we can make a pivot chart or pivot power pivot functionality. We can also use that. So I'm now loading that into a power pivot report. Now I want that here. Now you see here that I want year here, quarter here, parts here, units here, and if we format that number, you can also format it. Now this is what the data look like. You have managed to populate all the data of three quarters into one pivot table, and these three quarter data are available in different folder as well. Now if there is a Q4 data, that is I have Q4 data as well, so I'm copying that data here in that folder where the Power Query have looked into it, and by just clicking here the refresh button, you see that the Q4 is automatically added by following that all the steps that is required, that is applied in the Power Query functionality. And you see that the all Q4s of all quarters are being populated. Now, if you don't want that Q4 to be in your report, so you can delete that and just refresh that table. So it will go back to the original position, that is Q1, Q2, Q3. So with the help of Power Query and with the help of functionalities, you have read the data from different folders and managed to uh, clear that data and transform that data and put that data in a meaningful table. And you see here that this can be performed with the help of Power Query. So you have transformed that data and make that data available by just following that step. So I am closing that file here. Now the second example. Let's say I want to scrap data from the Yahoo.Finance. So I go to the Yahoo.Finance and see that this is and I want to look as Tesla, and the symbol for Tesla is TSLA. And enter that. And you see here that this is TSLA. Now this is the Tesla data, and you see here is that there is a historical data as well. And if you go to the historical data, you can see here that there is a download option. And while you look into it, it is a CSV file, and you can either click that file and save that Tesla file here and make financial projections on the on your uh, available ticker or your required tickers. Instead, we can also automate that with the help of Power Query to invoke a function that can read the data from the Yahoo Finance instead of if I want the data of Google. So I have to look for the Google data, Google symbol as well, that is DOOG, and then go to the time period as well, from where from which date to which date I want that data, and download that CV and that and copy that CV or import that CV with Power Query. And but it is not a dynamic function. If you want a data, let's say you want a data for a particular date, you have to perform all the tasks as well. So instead of doing that function, doing that all the tasks, I'm here giving you a web scraping tutorial for that. And for that, I can copy the link here to make up my data model. Go to my from web, just paste that click link, and okay. You see is that it has read the data, and now I'm transforming the data into a Power Query. Okay, now this is what the data look like, but I cannot play with the parameter as well. If I want to change the date, I want to change the range. Basically, it is showing the data for 1 year. How how about if I want a data for the 5 years? So what I can do is that I can play with the M language to make a function out of it, so that I can invoke a function with the period and with a ticker as well. So let's see how we can do. So we can name it as yfin. Okay, now this is the advanced editor of Power Query, and you see here is that it is reading the web content here and convert and envelop that web content into a CSV and make that in a source file. So if you want to define a function in a Power Query, you can, let's say I want to define a ticker. So I can do that as well as text. Okay. Now, if you want to make a function, you have to give is equals to and greater than. It will make a function. Uh, it will make the whole script as a function. So I want to embed that function, and you see here that this is the ticker here. Okay, so I'm replacing that ticker here with the n percent ticker n percent. This is the this is what n percent will parameterize your query. So if I click done, you will see that it has converted that whole script into a function. Now, if I want Google data on Google, so I just invoke that function, and you see here is that it has fetched the data of a Google, which we can verify here. 106.63, 100.63, 95.93, 95.90. So this is other. If you don't know how to, you can also close and load to a connection, and that connection will also show you. If you hover that into Unvo file, you will see here is that it is it is fetching the Google value. See here is that it is fetching the Google value. So how about I want to parameterize the date as well. So we can do that with the help of an M language. So let's say I call that Gook. Okay. Now go to that, click that function and go to the mQuery editor. Now I want to define a variable. Let's say I want as date as a starting date. Okay. And before that, I want to show you something. Basically, if you want that number, it has a special formula for getting that number. Basically, this is a period 1 number and this is a period 2. All it is doing is that it is from the current date minus 1970 date and multiply by 60, that is minutes, and multiply by seconds and into 24. It is generating that number. And then how I have googled it, how this is making that number. So I'm now parameterize my query to calculate that variable, so that I just give that number, I just give that date, and it it will calculate that number for the starting period and ending period. So what I do is, there I am defining a variable called sDate, and the function before that I have to define another variable in the function called variable called start date as date. Okay, so this is my start date minus, if you want to define date as 1970 minus 1 dash dash. So this is how you can define date, and the resultant of that formula will be a date. So what I want is that I want a number from it. So there is a function called number dot from, which will convert the date into number format. Okay, into 60 into 60 into 24. Now what it is has done is that it has converted that number, that date, into a number and multiplied that number with the 16 to 16 to 24. So but if you see the URL, it needs to be in the text, because all the values are in text form. It is quoted in a double quote, and if anything that is in double quote, it is a string. Okay, so I want that number. Okay, I want that number to be in a string format. So what I can do is that I can do convert that with the help of text dot from, and converted the whole into, and then after every line I have to put comma. Okay, so I have converted that uh, into into an state, and now I am parameterizing my query by giving the start date function. If I go into, okay, now the reason here is that the uh, Power Query is case sensitive. There is not a small f function, there is a from function, f capital. So I have to provide f capital. Okay, and done that. Also the number from, I have made a error here, and now convert that from to from. Now see that start date has come here, and it is also in the date format. Okay, now I want to add end date as well. So I go there, I go back there and the power editor, and place my cursor here, and uh, press shift alt down arrow. It will replicate that procedure, the previous procedure. So I give here is that e date, end date. E is for end date, and here I define end as, and also define a parameter here called end date as date. And now linking my okay, now this has been parameterized as well, and you see here that the ticker start date end date has been there. Suppose I delete that data. Now this has been, this has, now this has become a function. Now I want to grab data for Apple. the function, the ticker of the apple is AAPL, and now I want data from let's say 1st September till 4th October. If I invoke that function, okay, okay, something wrong is there. Oh, sorry. I have basically I'm not using a variable here. Basically, I have to use that variable. I'm not have to, because this is a date format, and that's why this is given an error. So I have to put that variable that is converted into a text format. Okay. If I done here and delete that. Okay. And now if I go to the Y ticker and want Apple AAPL, and I want that from 1st September to till 4th, I can invoke that function, and you see here that it has converted that into, and you can also if I want that data to Tesla data, okay, it's TSLA, and I want that data from this to 10th of that, I invoke that function. Now it is Tesla TSLA. Now if I want the Google GOOG, and from 1st September to 11th of that, and then it is Google. Now I'm closing loading that data. You see that if I hover that into data, you'll see that it is an Apple data and it has fetched the Apple data. Okay. If I hover that into, it has fetched the Tesla data. If I hover to GOOG, it has fetched the Google data. If you want that data to be in the sheet, okay, so you can close load to a table here called table, existing table. So this is how you can get the data here. And if you go to the edit tool and want that data to be in the descending order, let's say Apple, and you see here that the data is from 10th of. Now if you want that to data to till 15th of October, so you can go here at the source. It will open that up, the parameter window. Okay, and then you can change the date from here to 15, and it will update that to 15. Okay, now if you see the descending, now this is here, it is the data is has been updated till 14th of October. So in that scenario, you can upload the data, and if you have multiple, you can also automate that data. Let's say you want the end date to be the current date, so you can convert the e date into current date as well, and by just refreshing at every day, you will get the data for the current date as well. So this is the second example of a Power Query where you can automate the task of web scraping or getting the tickets data as well. Now, if you see that most of the APIs use JSON format. If you want to read the JSON data, let's say, if you want to see what the JSON data look like, so I have two examples of it. And if you see the JSON format is like that, it is in the curly brackets, and there it is the data of that. And how, if you see that if you want to well scrape the data from the API, you can also automate that data, and you can get the data which is giving you JSON, and you can connect with the help of web, and you can get the data into the Excel, and we will see how we can get the data into the Excel. So go to the blank sheet, go to the Power Query, and where file, from the file there is a function called from JSON. Just go to the JSON. Now this is the data I want to employ data. So I'm importing the JSON data, and Excel is able to read that data into the Excel tables, and we will see how. Basically, JSON data is a very complex data, and you will came across, because it is an unstructured data. You will find uh, you see that this is the list of records here, and we can convert that into a table called this, and this is also a list of records. You see here that there is a there is an icon here. It will, when you click that icon, it show me the two. It either you have to expand rows or extend below. I have to expand rows, okay, because I want the tabular data in the Excel. Now click that data, and I'm not using the prefix as a name. So if I click that data, you see here that the data has been transformed into a nicely looking table in the Excel. And if I close and load, it will populate in the Excel table like that. See here. Now, if I want that, I also another example as well. So there is another example called example data. Now this is also a record, and you see that it is in that following record. I have to here. Now this is also a record, so I have to click here. I have to click here. I have to click here. It will show me the step by step, and I just want that here is the list. Okay, And now there's also a list. We can expand that list like that. Now I think all the columns can be decoded. Now close and load. Uh, if you see the raw file, you will see here is that this is the file look like. See that? Dictionary, inner dictionary, and then a list of it. And you have converted that unstructured data into a structured table in the Excel with the help of Power Query. And now you see that you have converted that data into a Power Query option, Power Query, with the help of a Power Query. So Power Query is a very underrated tool, but if you utilize that tool, it can do wonders. Okay. Now I also have an example called pay register. Now pay register, if you see that this is the uh, this is this is the payroll data of an organization, and you see here is that there are almost uh, 184 columns, and there are also non-zero columns as well. Okay, so if I sum that and put that to, you see here that most of the columns are empty. Okay, so how can I do a just power query trick to convert that uh, table and remove the column which are not present, remove the non-zero columns here with the so I can do that with the help of a power query and unpivot functionality, alter APN, alter APT. It will convert that into table. So there's a filter, and I think it will raise an error. Filter, okay. Now I want that into text. Okay. You see here that these are the columns here. Okay. So what I'm doing here is that I am converted that unpivoting that column. So I am selecting that column and go to the transform and right click here and then unpivot other columns. Okay, so what did it converted that longitudinal column in the wide data into a long data like that. These are the components. And this is the amount. Okay, now if I filter out 0, so there is non-zero value here. Now what I'm doing is that I'm just clicking that 2 column here and right click here, and that I'm going okay, and now go to the pivot columns, just pivot that column. Yeah, I want that sum. Okay, okay, now close and load to connection. Now I am loading that data into a table in the existing sheets. So what if you see, I am now summing up of all the columns. Okay. Now what it does has that it has converted, it has removed the one from, it is now they are showing 67 columns here and all are non-zero columns here, and you see here is that there is no non-zero column here, and I have removed all the columns from that table here with the help of a Power Query. And if I want that data to and in the next month I get the data, I just copy that data here and go to that sheet here and then just refresh with the just one click. It will perform all the steps and give you that nice looking table with the non-zero tables. Okay, it has now refreshed here. Now this is how you can play with the Power Query, and with the help of a Power Query you can delete the uh, uh, columns of a power of non-zero columns. That is, you can delete the zero column, and you can also convert that data in the long data into wide data into a long format with the help of onPivot function. So these are the examples of Power Query. Now, what is Power Pivot? I've told you earlier that it is a Excel add-in introduced with Excel 2010, and it is a powerful data analysis and create sophisticated data models. With Power Pivot, you can mash up large volumes of data from various sources, perform information analysis rapidly, and share insights easily. In both Excel and Power BI, you can create DEX data model, a collection of tables with relationships, and DEX formula language. Power in the Power Pivot, there's also a new language called Data Analysis Expression Formula Language, and it is also a functional language. And this is a new language which is using by the Power Pivot as well, and also the Power BI while doing the transformation and while calculating the measures. Why it is being because DEX formula has a special feature called measure. What it can do, it will not create a table, it will not create a column, it will perform calculation out of the box when you put that data in the value column. So without bulking up your file with an additional columns, DEX formula language can be used to it can use to create measures, and it can only be used in the values column as well. So the data model you see in the workbook in Excel is the same data model you see in the Power Pivot window. Any data you import into Excel is available in Power Pivot and vice versa. Okay. Now, there is a two view of data tables in Power Pivot. One is the data view and the second one is the diagrammatic view. I will show you how these two look like. And what is the difference between because the Power Pivot model loads up all the data in a Power Pivot table, but the difference between the normal pivot and the Power Pivot is that normal pivot works on a single table, that is either it is basically a normalized denormalized table, uh, not normalized table. So what you can do, you can only perform that analysis only to the limit of the Excel, that is 1 million rows and 16,600 or something columns. But with the help of Power Pivot and in the power and in the normal pivot, you can only work with the single table. Okay, single table as a single table, and you cannot make a relationship between the tables as well, but you can do that with the help of a Power Pivot, and you can load different lookup tables or different table as well with the help of data model, and with the data model in Power Pivot, and you can make a relationship out of it. And without the help of a VLOOKUP, you can also create functions, or also create relationship in the Power Pivot with the help of joining with the help of connecting the table by defining a relation, and with the help of relative function as well. Okay, so Power Pivot is irrespective. Power can load data irrespective of the Excel limit, and I can show you with the help. I can show you that by loading 5 million rows in an Excel, and doing that in a and doing the doing analysis on the Power Pivot. What is DEX? DEX, I've told you that data analysis expression language that is being used in the Power Pivot, and it is also a feature of a Power BI as well. And it can show you where data analysis can be used in two types. That is, it is either add as a you can add a column as a calculated column, or you can define a measure to your model using intuitive syntax. Go beyond the capabilities of traditional grid style formula with powerful functions built specifically to work. Basically, DEX has various formulas as well, and it can mold your data in a way that cannot be done in a that cannot be done in a pivot table. Basically, pivot table only have two things, that is calculated item and calculated, and it is limited in some way, but in the with the help of DEX, you can play around with any formula, with any formula available in the Power Pivot, and you can transform and mold your data and get the meaningful result out of it with the help of a DEX function. Calculated columns, go to bed. Basically, in case we have added calculated columns, I have told you that when you add a column, it will bulk up your Excel file as well. Basically, you are adding a field that is calculated. Basically, what Power Pivot do? Power Pivot will calculate by row the value of that field, and in that context, it will be good to know whether you have to calculate a column or you have to calculate a measure. Basically, uh, what you can which in that case we have added a calculated column called price category, which equals high if basically we can do if else analysis on that. So you will only do that with the help of a calculated column. You can also do that with the help of a DEX function called if, and also a function that is available that is called switch. But some aggregation function which called total revenue here. If you see that since calculated column do not understand filter column, basically calculated column calculate the function, calculate row by row of every but it will give you the same result as well. Okay, so this is not valid use of calculated column. So here we will use calculated field calculated measure as well. So what is the DEX syntax? DEX syntax is like that. It is a measure name and defined by colon and is equals to, then there is a function, and this function, if you see here, that it will not be in a R1C1 format, which follows in the Excel workbooks, that is A1 B1 is like that. Okay, so in that table, the columns is being known by the table name and the column name in the bracket format. If you want to select a table, just give the table name, and if you want to select a column, then put that name in the bracket here, and it will select that column as well. Okay. Now, these are the common functions categories that are available in Excel, that are common function that can be used in terms of mathematics and maths and statistics functions like sum, average, min, max, logical functions, text function, that is you can play with the text with the help of these functions, and filter functions, and there's also called time intelligence function called date and time functions. You see here that some of the function you are looking here is that in the Excel, yes, DEX can also support Excel functions as well, like if len proper concatenate, but there is only a slight variation in the syntax, which I've told you earlier, that it has to be performed, it has to be selected in the form of table, not in the R1C1 format. By wrapping up, I can show you that the Power Excel, the difference, the comparison of Power Excel versus Power BI. If you see here is that this is the Power Excel, that is pivot table, pivot chart, Power View, and Cube functions, and this is the Power BI, that is drag and drop dashboards, custom visuals, cloud collaborations, and publishing tools. You see here is that the common between the two is that the data shaping tool, that is Power Query. The second one is the data modeling tool, which is Power Pivot. And if you want to perform additional calculations on the Power Pivot, there's also called additional measure, which can be supported by DEX function. So if you master the Power Excel, that is pivot tables, you also know that pivot tables as well, Power Query and Power Pivot, I can show you that you can cover 72 to 60 to 70% or 75% of the Power BI data modeling tool, data modeling as well. Basically, these are the underrated tools, and in my career, I've to make a visual is something that is available in the tab columns, but if you want to wrangle the data, you have to have an expertise that how you can reshape your data with the help of Power Query that is available. Otherwise, you have to go through other tools, like in Python, you have to use the Python and SQL language to mold that data. But Power Excel is Power Excel, that is Power Query. Majorly, Power Query is very underrated tool. If and in that course we will cover and we will cover the Power Query in detail, Power Query in detail, and also the language behind that Power Query, that is M language, and we will show you how you can make uh, how you can play with the Power Query advanced editor, and how you can make your own query out of it without performing any additional steps that is available in the GUI of the Power Query. So it is a very underrated tool, but you have, if you master it, you can play around your data in any format, and it is also quite fast as compared to other tools as well, if you are working in a Microsoft universe. Other than that, there are languages, that is R and Python, that do wonders. Basically, Power BI only supports the R and Python script, but Excel, Power Excel will not, Excel will not support the running of R and Python script. So you are limited here if you want to be in the Microsoft universe. So you can help your skills lift by the Power Query and Power Pivot functionalities, which will give you an edge around you. So I will show you an example of the Power Pivot as well. So this is, now I'm opening an Excel file, and now I'm showing, I'm connecting my data to the database server. Now getting that data, I'm going to the Power Pivot. Now there is also a Power Pivot here, and you can also click Manage Data Model here to go to the Power Pivot. So this is the Power Pivot. I'm going, I want the next SQL Server. Now my SQL Server name is here, and I want to show you uh, my specs of a laptop, and then you see here that how you can think that my laptop is performing. It is a fifth generation laptop. I have deliberately used that laptop to show you how you can perform the transformation and getting the data in a laptop that is quite let's say 6 year old or 8 years old, because it's the fifth generation and only had 8 GB. The other thing that is quite fast is in my laptop is SSD. So I have copied the server name. I've put that here. Now when I click here is that it will show me the databases that I have installed. So I am connecting to the AdventureWorks. I am now testing my connection. It is okay. It is showing me okay. Now next. There are two options available. Either you can pull the data, pull the list of the table, or you can write a query to get the data out of it. So these are the available databases. These are the available tables showing here. Let's say I want to get data of, let's say, internet sales. If I click here is that I can preview and filter it. So if you click here is that sorry, you see that it has been uploaded, it has been reported. Now the funny thing is that Power Query is quite enough quite intelligent enough to identify a related table. If you are using on a if you are using a SQL server data, and there are relationships defined between the tables with the help of primary key and second and foreign key. So Power Query is quite intelligent enough to get the related tables of data, so you don't have to import uh, each and every table. Just get the table that are related to that data table, so you cannot miss out any information to that. So if I click here is that is select related data tables. If I click here, it will look into the primary key and second and foreign key relationship, and mark and automatically mark the tables that are related to each other. So there are 6 related tables were selected. If I finish here is that you see here is that it is now importing data into Power Pivot, and you can see here is that it can also make a model out of it. How? Now this is the data view. If you click here, the diagrammatic view, you see here that it has automatically detected the relationship between the tables. And you see that as you see that in Excel, in Power Pivot, only one-to-many relationship has been followed, because Microsoft to Power BI and Microsoft Excel love star schema, and star schema only available, only applicable in one-to-many format and one-to-many relationship. So you see here that it has automatically detected, and it has also made automatically relations. That is, it has converted, it has make a relation between the currency key and the currency key in another table. So what I've done here, and I have imported 6 tables as well, 1 2 3 4 5 6. And if I can also go to the pivot table as well. So yeah, worksheet. Now you see here, in pivot table only one table can be shown, but you can see here is that now you have different tables available here. And if you want to, let's say, sales amount, this is how I can sales amount. And there's also a dim table as well. In the dim table, there's also you are defined called year as well. Okay, so you see that fiscal year here. Now see, it has automatically detected the currency type as well. And you see here is that it has now converted that into, and what I'm doing here is that I'm getting data from different table as well. Okay, now if I want the customer type as well, like say I want the marital status of a customer, so I can go here is that, and you see here is that that data has been the sale amount has been converted into married on single. It has bifurcated that with and you see here is that it is a separate table, but the relationship that is defined between the tables is working as a VLOOKUP function or SUMIF function. And you see here is that the customer, I have taken the data from dim customer and also data from the fact table as well. And you see here is that I can, if I want to add, let's say, mm, product type. Now, if I want that if the finished good is uh, good or not, so I can put that here. And you see here is that if I change the into classic view, it is quite, yeah. You see here is that these are all finished goods, and you see here is that you can also, and now what I did here is that I have taken another field from another table, and you see that how synchronized they are, and they are getting, and they are giving me the result from that. And you see here is that these can be done in is only in the Power Pivot. You cannot do that thing in uh, uh, normal pivot tables. It you can only do that if you have populated a single table, but you cannot do that with the different tables as well. So you have to take that table into a pivot table and make the relationship out of it, and you can plug and play and drag and drop data, drag and drop fields, so you can filter the data as well. So you see here that I can also put that field here. And also if I want quarter wise data, let's say go to the dim date, and now fiscal quarter, I think fiscal quarter here, yeah, this is the fiscal quarter here. And now the first quarter has been break up into male and female, so I don't want marital status. Now it is the year wise, and quarter wise data as well. And if you want the data to be month wise, you can also put name of the here. So you can put also the name of the quarter here. So July is your first date of the year, first month of the year. So you can filter out with the help of, if I go to the pivot table data view and go to dim date and sort by column. If I put sort by column, month number of year, month number of year. Okay, if I do that, it will and go back to my. So now you see that it has now in the ascending in the appropriate format, that is July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June. Now you see here that you can also play around with the dates, and you can also play around with the table. Let's say you want to uh, you want the data to be, let's say you want to calculate something uh, and that is you want to say a total sales, so you can go to that sum and then totals sales. Now this is the fact table here, and now this is the sales amount, and I can do that. Now see here, it has populated my sales as well. Now I want to show you how you can uh, import data that is 5 million rows in Excel in Power Pivot by overriding the Excel limitation. So let me open a new Excel book. Now go to the Power Pivot, manage. Now I have a other sources. Now I have a CSV file that is this one. Now this is 5 million record file here. Use first row as column headers. Now I am finishing here. Now it will read the data here. You see here that import in progress 30,000 rows, 70,000, 1,20,000. Now it is reading data. Yeah. Now it has loaded 5 million rows into, or it is not quite fast as other programming language because programming are supposed to be fast, but you can do import 5 million records in an Excel table, in an Power Pivot, and you can play that uh, play with pivot table as well. Okay, now we are making a pivot table out of it. Convert sheet. Now this is what 5 million records, and if I want region and I want profit as well. So it is computing now, and now here it is reading data. Now it is here. Go back to the number format, and by converting that you will now if I want to add country as well, so I can put the region column here, sorry, here, and now collapse entire field. Now this is region wise here, and if I want the country wise, so I can expand entire field. So it is the, this one is the Asia, this one is the, so what I'm doing here is that if I want to add sales channel, that is offline and online, you can also see that I'm playing with the 5 million roses. Okay, this cannot be possible in the normal pivot table and normal Excel table. It can only, you can only do with that in the Power Query, and with the help of Power Query, you can load that model into a Power Pivot, and you can play around with the Power Pivot enhanced pivot tables. So you can add different DEX functions as well, and you can also, with the help of date, let's say you don't have, uh, I can go that here. So here you don't have a column called year. Okay, so we can make a column year with the help of a DEX function, and here where it goes, year. Okay, and now take the order date. It will show me the year, and now it is calculating on the 5 million records. Yep, it has calculated here. Now I can see another field here called year, and if I put here, you see that it has converted that into year as well. So I have converted that data into an year. Okay, so this is the uh, this is the powerful features of Power Pivot, that you can play around with a large data. Basically, if you want to be, if you are working in a Microsoft universe, so you can play around with the Power Pivot, and you can play around with the Power Query as well to load uh, data and to perform transformation that is beyond the Excel reach. Basically, if you see, if you take that course, I am also giving you functionalities that are not available in the Power Query graphical user interface. You can only do that with the help of the language functions. Okay, like I have I have given you example in the web scraping, where I have converted a script into a function and making a parameter out of it, and converted that whole function as an interactive function, so that you can these tools cannot be these cannot be performed with the help of GUI. It can only be performed if you know the M language function, that is text.from and date.from. So if you go to the uh, Microsoft website, there's a whole bunch of Power Query functionality that are available in the Power Query. That is Power Query documentation. Now this is the Excel M formula language reference. Excuse me. So these are the M language specification that is here. You can find, you can also do the if conditional analysis as well. These are all the functions available, that is binary functions available, that is combiners functions available, that is date functions available, time functions, compare functions available, expansions are, a lot of functions are available, logical functions are available, number functions are available, where you can confirm from uh, anything. And you have also the time functions available and table functions available, which we will be learning in our M language in the course Power Excel. Okay. So this is the overview of the Power Excel for finance profession from my side. Over to you, Kashif. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask.
Yes, thanks a lot. Let me first, can you unshare your screen? Let me
Okay.
just share my screen. So
Mm,
I will definitely give the participants time for this one. So let me first share my screen. Okay, great. So let me first share my screen and share some important facts, and then we can move on to the formal Q&A session. So we are planning a comprehensive course on Power Excel, the two important tools, Power Query, in which M language will be there, and Power Pivot, all the dimensional modeling and all those things. It is planned to be a 10-day course and Saturday only class. So the class timing will be kind of the same for the webinar, just 1 hour before. So it will be 8 p.m. to 11 p.m., 3-hour class. We are planning to start in one month time. So 19th November is the scheduled date, and there will be 10 classes. So we will hopefully it will be end in the month of February. So if you are interested, so you can just email us, or you can just drop us a message on WhatsApp. Now let's move on to formal Q&A session. And there are quite a number of questions which are there. So let me first, I will start from the questions which are written by professionals in the comments. So first I will just go through with them, and then I will request the participants who are in the live session. So if they have any other question left, so they can ask questions. So let me just start from the first one. Mr. Kashif, there was one important thing. You can um, turn on your video, Mr. Kashif. So there was just one question which was asked by one professional, Mr. Samir Ali. He's saying, what is the library of Python you have mentioned for dashboarding?
Streamlit.
Streamlit.
I am um, Streamlit. You can also do dashboarding in Streamlit. You can also do in Dash. You can also do in Panel. I have
Panel.
given you 3 libraries as well.
Okay, great. So if it is there and if he watches the recording, so he can just Google that one. Great. The second question was, if I just go through with this one, going through, yes. So it was by Sawai. It is just asking for an advice whether we learn first power table, pivot table, sorry, then power query, and then power pivot, leading to Power BI. So
Yeah.
it is just the
I
he just
also
asking for it for
uh,
a learning path.
this is the question that has been asked many times before with me, and I also come to a conclusion that I will give you a comprehensive answer to that.
Okay, great.
Basically, before learning new things, you have to focus what you already know. You already know the Excel. Okay, so if you want to progress in the Microsoft universe, so you have to first do the Microsoft thing, which is Power Query. uh, if you want to step your Excel skill from the normal Excel skill, you have to first do a Power Query. Basically, Power Query is ETL tool. I also told you, and what you are doing in other languages as well. You also do the data transformation and data wrangling as well. It is also that ETL tool as well. So if you master the Power Query as well, so it will be quite helpful basically. And my suggestion is that you have to first do the Power Query, then Power Pivot. If you do both things, then what I have already told you that you have learned almost 7 to 75% of the Power BI. So after that, Excel and in current age, dashboarding is the new era. Dashboarding has a new era. It is the new era here, and you can also perform if you want to. If you don't want to be in the Power BI side, you can also perform analysis in Excel as well, and you can also make a dashboard in the Power Query as well, Power Pivot as well, with the help of Power View and Power Map. Okay, so you can if you go to the Google and find out the dashboards and the Power Pivot, you can find quite a lot, and quite a lot of solutions there. You can add slices to that, you can add timelines to that, you can add multiple things, and you can also add pivot tables as well. So after you do these things, that is Power Query, Power Pivot, so the next thing that the organization and the what is in the current era is Power BI. So Power BI, you can do the Power BI as well. So if you do those things, you can easily progress to the Power BI. Then after that, there comes quite a limitation from that, but you cannot do everything with the Power BI and anything with the Excel and Power. Then then I would recommend that you want to learn SQL. Basically, the data is stored in a database, not a flat files here. That is, it is extracted from the database. So if you want to, and if you want to further fasten your further let's say optimize your model, you have to I am importing Excel files or CSV files, but they are not optimal solution for that. You have to go to the SQL, because the SQL will perform quite fast, because it is the language of a database. Okay, so it can perform quite fast, and you will get results in the Power BI and the Excel in no time, which is which taking a overhead by the Power Query and Power Pivot. After that, it's up to you. You can either go with the Python or you can go with the R. Basically, Microsoft Universe support R quite a lot. If you go to the Power BI documentation, you will see that Power BI supports a number of R libraries as compared to Python. Only 10 to 12 libraries are supported, but the difference between Python and R is Python is a general programming language. If you learn Python, you can do web scraping as well. You can do programming as well. You can make game out of it, which you cannot do with R. You can make GUI apps out of it. You can make dashboards. It's a quite vast field for it. And you may also know I want to give you that the Python is also used in the game development. Basically, where logics are there, it has been defined in the Python as well. So Python has a vast footprint as compared to R. So it's up to you which language do you want. Basically, the person that are coming from the statistical side that have learned the statistics, they love R, but just like me, I opt for Python because of the vast field because so I can what I can do with the Python is that I can make dashboard out of it. I have also made a GUI app that do the data wrangling, and where I have also made a web scraping script as well, and number of things I have done. I have automated a lot of things with the help of Python, which is otherwise missing in R, I think. So Python has a vast for, and you if you want to automate anything, there is a library there to automate your tasks. That is, if you want to automate your let's say WhatsApp chats. So if you want someone to based on the text analysis, you want to recommend or you want to send a message to the person, so you can do that with the help of Python, with the help of web API of WhatsApp. So these are the things that are so the route is that first you have to learn Power Query, then Power Pivot. If you combine that, you have learned 80% of the Power BI, then Power BI visuals, Power BI charticulators, and then Power BI things, and then SQL, and then any language. This is my answer for the
Thanks.
person who was
Thanks.
seeking to in the data science.
Thanks. That's quite a comprehensive answer, and you have given quite a number of logics why you are choosing this path. Thanks a lot. So I hope that person will have that answer. So there's one more question. The interface is similar, better, Power BI, huge data. Is there any limitation of Power Query in Excel?
As I
Limit.
think of basically the if you want to ingest $50 million, that's a limitation to it. Basically, it's up to up to your system performance as well. Basically, if you see that Microsoft take a lot of RAM when you are uploading the data.
Hmm.
Basically, it will basically what Power Query do and PowerPay do, it will load that data into your memory. If your memory is quite enough, then you can do analysis. And this fact is applicable to all the programming language. In Python, you can also have limitations to import the data up to your memory size. So yes, everything has limitations. That's why we are that's why new technologies are there to overcome that obstacle. So you see that in pandas it is limited by, but you can do with the help of vex uh, to analyze 50 GB of data. So
Okay.
they work around to the models, and they work around to the libraries, they work around to the logics, and made out of core memory data applicable of out of memory calculations that can be performed in the programming language, and that can be performed in the Power Query and Power Pivot. That is, this is the limitation of Excel, that 1 million rows and 60, and you are doing out of and for that, it is the out of memory, out of core limitation, and you are performing. And I've showed you that I have imported a 5 million rows data and perform various pivot table transformation for that.
Okay, great. Thank you. So there are two questions left. Then I'll hand it over to the participants who have waited a lot. The third one is also there. So Ms. Pooja is one question: is Power Query? What should we do if we want to do data upload in a table format? So in Power Query, what should we do if we do not want to the data to be uploaded in a table format?
uh, I want to tell you that basically Power Query and Power Pivot works on data table, not table, that is Excel tables. The Excel table is quite different from the data tables. So Excel tables are there if you want to, if you convert the sheet into a table format, and Power Query is loading that data. It accepts data in the table format and gives that data to the feedback in the table format. So if you don't want to load a table, you can go to close and load to the connection, and only make a connection out of it and do a pivot table as well. If you want, if you don't want pivot table, if you can go to the pivot chart as well. You can make a pivot chart out of it. So these are limitations to the Power Query, that it can load what I've showed you, that it can load to the Power Report, Power Table, pivot table, Power Pivot Table, Pivot Chart, and only connection, and add to the data model. These are the output of the Power Query.
Okay, okay. So Miss Pooja is also here. So I hope your question and answer. If not, you can just give me comments on this one. You can write it in chat. So there are two questions. Mr. Tanveer, what is the difference between Power BI and Power Query?
I've told you that
Power
how
BI.
Power BI came into being. Power BI came into being when Power Excel, Power Pivot, Power Query, and data visualization of Excel is combined as a one package. And I've also told you in my opening session that Power BI is frequently updated. That is, it is updated on monthly basis. So you will find more functions in Power Query in Power BI than in in Power Query in the Excel. So it's up to you, but the concept remains the same. Only there are more functions there that is available in the Power BI.
Okay, great. So I just want to add one more thing in this one. Uh, Power Query is a software which is attached to Excel and Power BI both.
Yeah.
Okay, so its amazing feature is to wrangle the data and certainly automate the task.
Yeah.
So these are things, and it is attached to both. So it is kind of a not an apple to apple comparison if we are comparing Power Query with Power BI
Yeah,
because it's
I
a
want to.
assistant tool.
Yeah, I've told you the DEX and M language both are supported in Power BI, but
Yes.
due to the updation, Power BI have more functionalities, more functions than Excel.
Great, great. Thanks. So thank you, Ms. Pooja, for your amazing thumbs up. Now, Mr. Ali Asadullah. So a long question. I'll make it a short one. Um, what is the level of similarity between the tool of Power Query and Excel? So I think this is answered. Will the learning of Power Query and Excel is enough for Power BI? It is also answered. After attending this, now this is kind of an important. After attending this course, what will be the level of expertise in Power Query if we just scale it down from 1 to 10, 10 being the highest one?
If you took that course,
Yes.
if you took that course, I will tell you that you will be standing at the 8 or 9 level out of 10. Basically, I've there are numerous functions that are available in the Power Query and Power Pivot as a form of DAX, and you cannot learn each and everything. Okay, but what we have included in our course will let you wrangle the will let you know the will let you give the power to analyze the data, to perform the data. If I answer you in that, in Excel you have 700 and plus function, but you don't know more than 50 functions in Excel. That's the case in the Power Query, and that's the case it's related to DAX. You can only learn those functions which you have came across to. That's why we will make you able to perform the tasks that otherwise not available in the GUI functionality, or we will give you an understanding how you can learn a language, that is M language. So if you I've always said that if you learn a single language, you can easily learn the second language as well. That is, if you learn MQuery, that is functional language, so Python also has a functional programming as well. So I say that if you learn the parameters and how the functional programmings work, you can also easily learn the other language as well.
Great, great. Just add few comments on this one. Uh, Mr. Kashif has rightly pointed out there are more than 700, if I am not wrong, 870 plus functions in Excel. DAX, there are 250 functions, but it is the Pareto principle which is applied across the universe. So you will have to find a sweet 20 or less than 20% of the formulas which can give you 80 or
80%
of the
yeah.
results. So this is what we trying to find. So this course is primarily focused on accounts and finance professionals. So the use cases will be relevant to accounts and finance professions. And definitely, if you are interested, so you can drop us a message. We'll certainly in few days we'll share all the details to you. So those professions will definitely have an edge because the use cases will be similar to that one. So is there any chance during the course where we can connect with any ERP with
Basically,
Power
I have
Query?
showed you today. I have connect to the ERP called SQL Server,
Yes.
and that is AdventureWorks data is in the SQL Server. So I have pulled the data from that. Basically, you can also connect with the right now the most common ERPs are backed by Oracle and SQL. That is Microsoft Dynamics. It uses the MS SQL, and Oracle, it uses the Oracle SQL, and it is different from some not quite but different from the normal SQL or the NC SQL as well. That is the standard SQL. But if you connect to the SAP, though, so when you are connecting with the ERP, you have to keep that mind that you are using the SQL language. Okay, otherwise you will be importing data tables as and tables just like a normal tables in an Excel sheet or in a in any form. Okay, so there's a difference to that. So we will be connecting with the ERP, which is our Adventure Store database, and we can I can show you how you can connect with the ERP solutions with the authentication and without the authentication as well. But I don't have an example for the Oracle. I only have only have a solution. I only have access to my company server, which cannot show, which I cannot show you the data. So we will be working on MS SQL only as well.
Yes, definitely. So I just want to add, Microsoft has given a free database, which is the AdventureWorks, which you already showed that one.
Okay.
So we can show that one. And Mr. Ali is also saying he is using Microsoft Dynamics. So
Yeah,
definitely, that's not a problem. The only thing which I just want to add to a few lines for the questions of Mr. Ali is, connecting with any database, the connection is one part, and that can be resolved if there is an issue. That can be resolved in just that's one event which will happen. The other things are, once you have the database, how you can do it. So it is the amount of data, how huge it is, and how you can wrangle it. So that
in
is
practical,
yes. So
I
that is
want to add
already
you.
shown.
I want to add you that in the practical scenario, you cannot import the data. Basically, if I'm working, I also worked on the Oracle database, and in my company, if I want to pull the data of a sales table, it it will be around 5.5 million plus for a month.
Yes.
Okay, and there are quite different principles as well, and we are also also I have sister concerns company. If I want to pull the data, it will be around let's say 10 million or 50 million rows plus. So
So
how you
a
can handle
billion
the
rows
data?
for a year.
You
uh,
cannot do that.
to
You have to find a middle solution, which is the SQL, so you can
Yes.
only wrangle that data that is usable for you, so you can put that data or pull that data in the Excel, so you can work with the pivot tables or Excel tables.
So that is why the concept of, it's not a new concept, the concept of data warehouse, which is
Yeah,
there. So you just tend to clean the data. You have the clean data at a staging server. So there are different type of services as well. So some are the original server which has the raw data. So there are certain staging servers, and you have a clean data. Then you can just do the analytics on a clean data, not the raw data. So I hope Mr. Ali has a question is there. So if any other participant have any question, who are in the live session?
I have also given you all the example on my old laptop. If you work on a current generation laptop, it will be quite fast.
Yes, definitely.
Because because my company laptop got into some serious issue, and it is not it is giving me the blue screen, so I have to work on it, so, and show you how you can perform on the old laptop as well.
Okay, okay. So great, Mr. Ali is saying addressing all the question. Any other participant who has any other question? You're more than welcome. You can unmute yourself and you can ask your questions. So you can always, if there are no questions right now, you can always reach to us, drop us a message or drop us an email. We would love to hear from you. Thanks a lot at the end. Thanks a lot, Mr. Kashif, for giving such an insight. So it is just a glimpse of what we are planning to do. And thank you for your time. And thank you, participants, for your time and sticking around for around 2.5 hours. So it was planned for 1 hour.
Oh, planned for 1 hour, but
So thanks a lot for Mr. Kashif for having such a generous time. And thank you all. Thanks.
thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot.